Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Spring Nuance and I'll explore again this marvelous game between Bobby Fischer and Donna Byrne played in New York, 1956. At that time, Fischer was only 13 years old, and now becoming just prodigy, while Donna Byrne was already just star dominating many tournaments. Let's start the game to see how these two clash together. Donna Byrne plays with the white pieces. He starts the game with knight f3. Fischer plays knight f6. c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7. The bishop is fired castle. d4, Fischer castles kingside. Donner played bishop f4. If Donner played e4 and Fischer responds with d6, this is the king's Indian defense. In the game, bishop e4 is played. d5, gaining the center. Queen b3. Donner puts more pressure onto the d5 pawn. Fischers exchange the pawns. Queen takes. c6, preventing white from playing some move like d5. e4. White is controlling the center very well. Knight from b d7, developing a knight. Rook d1. White aims the rook on the black queen along the d5. Knight b6. Queen c5. The queen is very near black pieces. Bishop g4, pinning the knight along the rook. Bishop g5. This is another good move because white loses a tempo for moving this bishop twice in the game, and Fischer would not hesitate to punish white. So, what is the next move for black? This is a very amazing sacrifice. Knight a4, sacrificing the black knight. And Donner responds with Queen a3. Okay, so let's see why we cannot take the knight. Okay, so if white takes the knight, then knight takes the pawn on e4. This knight attacks both the queen and the bishop. And now white has two options: either play queen to b4 or bishop takes the pawn on e7. Let's see the first variation. Queen to b4. Then Fischer would take the knight to kill the protector of this bishop. Pawn takes bishop. Knight takes bishop. White pieces become a mess, and black is also threatening to take the pawn on f3. Okay guys, it's rewind time. If white play bishop takes e7, this is a very strong move. Rook e8. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes queen. This is a discovered check. Bishop e2 blocking the check. Knight takes a4. Bishop g5 escaping from black rooks. Knight takes b2. Rook b1. Bishop takes the knight. The bishop cannot take the bishop because it is pinned, so the pawn takes the bishop. And finally, bishop takes d4. This is a winning position for Fischer. Okay, let's move back. Knight a4. Queen a3. Fischer exchanged the knight. Pawn takes knight. Knight takes e4. In this position, Donner thought in his mind that the kid must have made a blunder here. But let's see what is the trick behind this move of Fischer. As planned, Donner takes the pawn on e7. Queen is more precious, so queen moves to b6. And now the question here is, should white takes black rook? Let's see. If white takes black rook, then bishop takes back. This bishop is attacking the queen on a3. Queen b3 hoping for exchanging the queens. This is a very clever move here. Knight takes pawn on c3. If white queen takes the knight, black would play bishop b4, pinning the queen along the king, and the queen here is lost. Okay, so how about queen takes b6, then a takes pawn, a pawn takes queen, rook a1, preventing black rook from infiltrating white's position. Bishop b4 threatens a discovered check, and this is a winning position for black. Okay, it's rewind time. Queen b6. Seeing that taking the rook brings him no benefit, Byrne plays bishop f4, develops another bishop. And again, Fischer sacrificed the knight on c3. This is another brilliant sacrifice. And Byrne responds with bishop to c5. Okay, so let's see why Byrne didn't take the knight. If queen takes the knight, rook from f8, queen to a3 protecting the bishop. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, bishop f8. This bishop cannot move because it is pinned. Castling, bishop takes bishop. This bishop is attacking the queen again. And this is an advantageous position for black. Okay, let's come back to the game. Knight takes c3, bishop to c5, attacking the queen. Rook from fe8 check, giving a check and also escaping the attack of the bishop. Byrne escaped the king with king f1. But let's see what would happen if he played king d2. Then knight e4 check, king c1, knight takes the bishop, queen takes the knight, queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, bishop f8. This bishop is attacking the pawn, and there's no way for white to defend this pawn. Okay, let's move back. King f1. We have come to the climax of the game. Can you guess how black could advance in this position? Noting that black queen is under attack, so where should black queen go? Maybe queen to c7? What would Fischer play? In the game, Bobby Fischer played bishop e6. In front of the gaming mouth of Byrne, Fischer decided to sacrifice his precious queen on b6. Why? Because he's heading for the deadly combination that will drive white to the edge of losing everything. Let's see how it's coming. In the game, Byrne accept the sacrifice. But let's see what would happen if he didn't accept the sacrifice. Okay, after bishop e6, what would happen if Byrne takes the bishop on e6? This is a blunder because white would immediately lose by this. Queen b5 check, king g1, knight e2 check, king f1, knight g3 check, king g1, queen f1 check. Rook takes the queen because the queen is being protected by the knight and the king cannot take the queen. Knight e2 checkmate. This is known as the smothered mate. Okay, what about queen takes the knight on c3? Then queen takes the bishop. Pawn takes queen. Bishop takes the queen on c3. Bishop takes e6. Rook takes e6. Rook d7. Rook b8, protecting the pawn. Actually, this position could result in a draw. And Fischer, of course, does not want this position at all. In my opinion, the best move for white is bishop d3, queen c7. At least, white could have drawn from this position. Okay, it's rewind time. In the game, Byrne accepted sacrifice. And the terrible things has finally comes. Bishop takes c4 check. King g1. Knight e2 check. King f1. Knight takes d4 check. The deadly windmill effect launched by Bobby Fischer starts to drive quite crazy. King g1. Knight e2 check. King f1. Knight c3 check. King g1. And finally, black takes the bishop. The rook is attacking the queen. Queen b4, attacking the bishop on c4. Fischer played rook a4. This is an amazing combination by black. The rook is attacking the queen and protecting the bishop at the same time. The knight is protecting the rook, and the bishop on g7 is protecting the knight on c3. Wow, wow, what a nice combination. White takes the pawn on b6, but actually, I think that queen d6 is a good move, because if knight takes the rook, queen takes the rook, then at least white could have gained back some material. But anyway, in the game, white takes the pawn. Fischer takes the rook. Actually, from this position, Tonenberg could have resigned here, but he chose to continue in acknowledge of the genius Queen Fischer. h3. Rook takes an a2. King to h2. White king is escaping from the constant attack of black pieces. Finally, the white rook is able to participate in the game after 27 moves. Knight takes f2. Rook e1, hoping to exchange rooks. Rook takes rook. Before taking back the rook, Byrne gives a check. Bishop f8 blocking the check. In this position, black has 9 points ahead of white, and obviously, victory is in black's hand. Let's see how white is checkmated. Knight takes rook. Bishop to d5, consolidating the position. Knight f3. Knight e4. This knight is a monster. Queen b8. b5. Fischer doesn't want to lose the pawn. h4. h5. Knight to v5. This is a pretty hopeless move by white. King g7 unpins the f8 bishop. Black intends to play some move like bishop d6 or bishop c5. White play king g1, a random move. Bishop c5 check. And white play king f1. Actually, from this position, white could have got checkmated with other variation as well. Let's check the king h2 variation. King h2, knight d2, king h1, rook a1 check, king h2, knight f1 check, king h3, rook a2, knight f3, bishop e6 check, g4, bishop takes the pawn checkmate. This variation king h2 also does not have anything for white. In the game, white play king f1, knight g3 check, king e1, bishop b4 check. Black is just fighting some moves to get white checkmated. King d1, bishop b3 check, king c1, knight e2 check, king b1, knight c3 check, king c1, rook to c2. This is checkmate. After 41 moves, the Grandmaster was finally defeated by a 13-year-old kid. At move 17, Fischer has made a revolution in the critical chess thinking. Bishop e6 is arguably one of the most fantastic moves in history of chess, which earned the title the Game of the Century for this legendary match. Are you awestruck by this brilliancy? If you like, please leave your thoughts down below the comment section, and don't forget to click subscribe to my channel for more chess games. Thank you.